This week on ANN, new details emerge in the ongoing investigation of a cyber attack that defrauded the Adventist Church during a money transfer.
Relief efforts in the wake of a major earthquake in Chile.
And church leaders announce a record-breaking offering to benefit evangelism in Europe.
These stories and more coming up.
This is ANN, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Thank you for joining us this week.
First in the news, Adventist financial officers this week released new details in the ongoing investigation of an elaborate cyber theft that defrauded the church of $500,000 last year. Church leaders say a compromised password allowed online scammers to hack into the Gmail account of a church employee authorized to initiate money transfers. The hackers impersonated the employee and sent emails to Adventist World Church headquarters approving the transfer of funds. A complicated filtration system set up by the scammers marked all responses from headquarters as read and deleted, completely bypassing the employee's inbox. Meanwhile, the scammers laundered the stolen funds through the bank accounts of several apparently unwitting victims. Church financial officers expressed regret over the incident and urged local church leaders not to approve transactions without a secondary validation, such as a phone call, text message, or fax.
Adventist humanitarians in Chile are assessing the needs in wake of an 8.2 magnitude earthquake that left 7 people dead and disrupted power in and around the city of Iquique last week. The Adventist Development and Relief Agency, or ADRA, distributed food, water, and water purifiers to local residents whose homes were damaged. Makeshift camps are sheltering hundreds of displaced people in tents. A powerful aftershock that triggered a 2-meter tsunami has left many communities on edge. ADRA is considering a long-term project for the region of Alto Hospicio, which was heavily impacted by the earthquake.
Nearly 2,000 Adventist young people in Mexico City took to the streets this week to share a message of healthy living. The event comes as Mexico's growing rate of obesity threatens the health of millions of people. A third of the country's population is now considered clinically obese. As young people marched through downtown Mexico City, they invited onlookers to participate in exercise demonstrations and free medical screenings. They also highlighted natural ways, such as exercise and good nutrition, to combat obesity and other consequences of unhealthy living. The event was part of the Adventist Church's Big City Impact initiative in Mexico City.
Adventist leaders this week announced a new giving record that will benefit outreach in the church's trans-European region. 13th Sabbath offerings for the fourth quarter of 2013 passed the $1 million mark for the first time in the history of the offering. 13th Sabbath offering is collected on the last Sabbath of every quarter. The offering provides an opportunity to give to specific projects that help grow the church in tangible ways. The record-breaking offering will establish new congregations and support innovative evangelism in Europe, including outreach centers in Greece and Macedonia. Church leaders say the offering represents a huge milestone for the church and a marked increase in giving from regions outside of North America.
A government minister in Jamaica is challenging churchgoers to engage more effectively with their communities. Record in Focus has this report.
Jamaica has more churches per square kilometre than anywhere else around the world. However, in a tragic irony, the Caribbean nation also ranks near the top of the global crime statistics, including the per capita murder rate. Jamaica's Minister of National Security, Peter Bunting, told a public meeting hosted by the Mandeville Seventh-day Adventist Church that Christians of all denominations need to be part of the solution to stem the rising tide of crime. Local church leaders said they're committed to helping the government take back their town from criminal elements.
Smart agricultural training in Kenya is helping families thrive during periods of drought and water shortages. A drip irrigation program led by the Adventist Development and Relief Agency in the country is teaching beneficiaries new gardening techniques that need minimal water but produce maximum results. Drip irrigation agriculture saves water and fertilizer by delivering water directly to the roots of a plant through narrow tubes. Beneficiaries also learned how to construct multi-story gardens, which prolong the growing season. ADRA officials say these new methods of agriculture are crucial to bringing food security to the region.
And finally in the news this week, a video series of biblical reenactments raising awareness of united prayer will air on the church's official television network starting this week. Shot in Morocco, the videos tell the stories of Esther, the Pentecost, and other biblical accounts when corporate prayer solved problems and led to church growth and spiritual renewal. The stories are meant to help modern Adventists claim the power of joining together in prayer.
Personal prayer is important. Secret prayer is the life of the soul. But we know that there has never been a revival anywhere on this planet that wasn't preceded by united and continuous prayer.
So there is a synergy that happens when we hook up together and unite our voices in crying out to God.
Why is united prayer important? Because it opens our hearts to the power of the living God to accompany our witness.
Hope Channel will air one new video every week for 10 weeks. The series is a part of the Adventist World Church's Revival and Reformation Initiative. Producers said the 2-minute videos are ideal for sharing on social media and television.
It all started in a small upper room with humble, fervent prayer. Threatened by the authorities and banned from preaching, the church prayed, and 2 men witnessed with great power and grace. And people prayed everywhere in one accord, in repentance, with confession and humility, and the lives of people were changed. 2 men started out on a missionary journey that would turn the world as they knew it upside down. And the message went out to the world beyond. Corporate prayer helped a prisoner escape. A king requested that his people fast and pray, and the enemy was defeated. A battle won without the need to fight. Through a faithful servant and a young queen's faith and courage, a people were saved. Stories in the Bible showing the power of united prayer.
You know, I love gardens. When I'm in a garden, all the stress of life just kind of melts away, and it is replaced with peacefulness and serenity. After an especially hard day at work, I love to come home and find a garden, any garden, mine or anyone else's garden, and I just like to linger there for a while because I feel refreshed and renewed from that experience. And you know, it doesn't matter what season it is, whether it's spring or whether it's winter. I love to go to a garden because it's just always beautiful, always serene. You know, the Bible describes a very special place, garden-like place, in which there is peace and serenity, and there is life, everlasting life. This place is called the New Earth. It is a place in which God chooses specifically and provides for His own people. It is a place of beauty, a place of peace, a place of everlasting love, life, and joy. It is a place where God Himself comes and lives with His people. It is a place where there is no sorrow, no mourning, no crying, no more pain. It is a place where things are new, the old is completely gone, and the newness lasts forever.
Welcome back. To help celebrate the first anniversary of the Mission 360 magazine, editor Nancy Kite reflects on mission stories from around the world.
It's our first anniversary. With the spring edition of the Mission 360 magazine, this bright new collection of mission stories has been in circulation for 1 full year now. And during this time, we've covered stories from more than 40 countries of the world, so we've included a lot of interesting cross-cultural details throughout each magazine. We've shared stories about missionaries who work far from home. Most days they don't see miracles or baptisms, but they keep working from one day to the next, watching God's hand at work. We also tell stories about global mission pioneers and the difficult work they do. Most of them are young and energetic, and they have such great attitudes. If you need any encouragement, their stories will definitely lift your spirits. You probably know at least one person who has served as a student missionary, but you'll always meet more of them on the pages of Mission 360. Many of these students discover their purpose in life during their volunteer service. Although the Mission 360 magazine is celebrating its first anniversary, it's possible that you haven't seen it yet, but it's not too late. You can read all 4 issues by going to our website, AdventistMission.org, then click on the Mission 360 button and choose any issue. Thank you for giving to the mission offering at church and for supporting the pioneer work of Global Mission. It is your prayers and your financial support that helps to spread the gospel to those who are still waiting to hear about Jesus. Happy first anniversary to Mission 360 magazine.
Is your church prepared to minister to the needs of a person who is blind? Larry Pitcher has practical tips on serving the blind and low sight community in this month's feature from Christian Record Services for the Blind.
When a person who is blind enters your local church, is he able to find the sanctuary? Can she read the bulletin and know the order of service? When to kneel for prayer? When to stand for opening song? When the service is over? Can he find a Sabbath school class? And if you have no people who are blind or visually impaired, how do you find and welcome them to your church? An article in the March North American edition of Adventist World addresses these questions with practical ideas that may be a help to your church members. We all need to know what to do when a person who lives with a vision impairment visits or attends our churches. We can each work together to make our churches welcoming for all who attend, regardless of the inconvenience that are brought about by impairments. Next time, when you see a blind person in church, consider reaching out, greet them, express your interest in them, and the blessing will be yours and theirs too. Christian Record is highlighting this to give the blind a chance through the annual Day of Giving scheduled for April 12. Christian Record stands ready to assist visually impaired church members around the globe with free resources in Braille, audio, and large print. Please consider giving the blind a chance today.
The television program Ministry in Motion updates pastors and lay leaders about best practices and ministry ideas. Anthony Kent has a preview of some upcoming programs.
Ministry in Motion is an exciting and practical resource for those who are involved or interested in being involved in ministry. Whether you're a pastor, an elder, a deacon or a deaconess, if you're involved in ministry, you'll find Ministry in Motion helpful. It's an informed and informative conversation with experts in ministry. We have coming up in the next few weeks on the Hope Channel, Pastoral Burnout with Ivan Williams, Balancing Church and Family Expectations with Pamela and Claudio Consuegra, How to Make Life-Changing Appeals with Mark Findlay, and Effective Principles of Communication with Cliff Goldstein. And we also have Developing Positive Relationships between pastors and their children with Willie and Elaine Oliver. If you don't have access to the Hope Channel, you can access these programs at ministryinmotion.tv.
The television program Sabbath School University explores weekly Bible study lessons in a creative way that invites discussion and questions. Falvo Fowler has more.
Sabbath School U has been around since 2001. It was started off in California. It's been produced in Australia, in South Africa, at Andrews University. I think it's been the longest at Andrews University. And one of the things we loved of being on that campus is having these language prayers and representing how global the church is. We've just recently moved from the campus of Andrews University and working with ILS to the Hope Channel studios here in Maryland. We've got a new set, we've got a new introduction, we've got new hosts, and we've got a new team. And it's exciting because we get to see how this program has evolved, how it's progressed from where it first started off. What's really interesting about the feedback we get is people in their 50s and 60s come back saying, we grew up in the church, but we didn't know we could ask these questions. Didn't know that we could say, we don't know, and then go back to find out what we don't know. That's the beauty of the show. It's very informal, but it's people who really want to know more about Scripture and its relevance to the life today. It's found on sabbathschoolu.org. It's on our app, Sabbath School 3 for the iOS and Sabbath School for the Android system, where it's also found on the broadcast on Hope Channel, on Saturday mornings, I believe.
Still ahead, making time for exercise.
But up next, what scientists who are Christians can learn from variations in the animal kingdom.
Death is the only inescapable, unavoidable, sure thing. We are sentenced to die the day we're born.
Death is a debt we all must pay.
Some people are so afraid to die that they never begin to live.
Every man must do two things alone. He must do his own believing and his own dying.
Death is not a period, but a comma in the story of life.
He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away.
When I go to sleep, I pray for Jesus to help me not to have bad dreams. Pray for my grandpa because he is in cancer right now.
I pray I don't want to get sick anymore.
I pray for my family.
Please pray 7 in the morning, 7 in the evening, and 7 days a week.
Welcome back. For Adventist biologists, variations among domestic dog breeds point to a created ability to adapt to new circumstances. Tim Standish reports.
In the Geoscience Research Institute Library, we just completed this dog skull display. The little Chihuahua, the rather strange English Bulldog, and the huge St. Bernard skull up here at the top are so different that if dug up by paleontologists, they'd probably be considered different species. Yet we know that these skulls came from the same species, Canis lupus familiaris. If there were only one pair of dogs on Noah's Ark, we'd expect that all the amazingly different dog breeds came from that ancestral pair, and this appears to be the case. All domestic dogs look as if they descended from grey wolves, and this grey wolf skull shows what natural selection does, maintaining organisms in an elegant state of efficiency. But we can see from domestic breeds that selection can create incredibly different dog breeds. On this side of the display, we have skulls from different species of wild dogs and foxes. Like domestic breeds, species in the genus Canis are usually capable of interbreeding and show evidence of descent from a single kind of ancient dog. Things are not so clear with the foxes. They have a different number of chromosomes than dogs. Maybe they didn't descend from the same ancestor as domestic dogs. There are lots of theories about this, but to me the interesting thing is that the domestic breeds show more variation than wild dogs and foxes together. One thing seems fairly sure. Wolves appear to have been created with an incredible ability to vary in ways that anticipate different conditions in the wild, as well as the different requirements of humans who love dogs as I do.
A tech company launched by Adventists is offering smart paper cards that fold to turn into USB drives. Each drive is preloaded with Bible studies. Jesse Johnson has more on this week's Tech Corner.
A company started by Seventh-day Adventists called IntelliPaper, located in the U.S. state of Washington, recently launched a product that has a selection of Bible studies loaded on paper cards that have their embedded USB technology. This technology sandwiches electronics inside of the paper to make the paper smarter. These cards can be handed out to an interest, which can then bend the card and put it right in their computer. They can then work through the various lessons using their computer with not only pictures and text, but the lessons can include videos teaching about each of the subjects along with the questions about that lesson. The study tracker system will automatically grade their answers so they can move right on to the next lesson on their own. The card talks to your study tracker site, so you're able to see where they might be having problems, and you can encourage them to pick back up and complete the entire Bible study. It gives you a great way to keep track and see what's going on with your interests. These cards should be available through your local Adventist book center. If they don't have them yet, you can ask them to order them, or you can order them directly online at AdventistEvangelism.com.
Health experts say exercise is the single most important factor in determining quality of life. A pedometer can help you keep track of your steps. Peter Landless explains.
One of the most important things in life to us is well-being. We like to feel well. Sometimes we just drag ourselves around, whether it's because we've eaten too much, slept too little, worked too hard. One of the things that we find is often lacking in our lives is adequate exercise. Did I say exercise? You may be saying, I don't have the time. Well, I need to share with you that you don't have time not to exercise. If there's one single intervention which is going to make a difference in your life, it is getting out and exercising, or even getting in and exercising. And I brought with me something which I want you to remember and I want you to get for yourself. It's called a pedometer. One of the things people ask the most is, how much exercise should I be doing? You should be walking at least 10,000 steps, paces every day. 10,000 equates to about 4.5 miles every day. You need to do that on a regular basis. Well, how do you know? Count them. Don't use elevators, use the stairs. Park your car in the furthest distance in the parking lot. Make sure that you get out when you can into the fresh air and take a walk. You'll never regret it. In all the studies looking at cholesterol, sugar, high blood pressure, exercise is the single most important thing to keep you healthy. Now, you haven't got time not to do it, just do it.
Now let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history. This week, the launch of an Adventist hospital in northern Brazil that today serves more than 90,000 patients every year.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. April 6, 1994 was the first day of broadcasting by a new satellite channel, the Adventist Communication Network. It was the forerunner of today's Hope Channel. On April 7, 1945, the Instituto Adventista Florida opened, the first Adventist secondary school in the Argentine capital of Buenos Aires. Today, the Instituto Florida has some 300 students. 15 years later, also on April 7, in 1960, Emmanuel Missionary College changed its name to Andrews University, following the transfer of the Seventh-day Adventist Theological Seminary from Washington, D.C. to Berrien Springs, Michigan, which transformed Emmanuel from a liberal arts college into a graduate institution. On April 9, 1881, German-American minister L.R. Conradi organized the first German-speaking Seventh-day Adventist church in America at Milltown, South Dakota, with 19 members. By the end of the year, he had established 2 other churches of German speakers at Brotherfield and Emmanuel Creek. On April 10, in 1953, Belém Adventist Hospital opened in northern Brazil. Today it is a 125-bed general hospital which last year treated over 90,000 patients. And on April 11, in 1869, the first Adventist baptism on the west coast of the United States took place, when John N. Loughborough baptized 15 people on the farm of a Mr. Lee near the town of Santa Rosa, north of San Francisco. That was this week in Adventist history.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
In the meantime, find us on Facebook. You can connect with other Adventists worldwide and find links to more stories, photos, and videos. Just visit Facebook/Adventist News.
Our good news for this week comes from Jeremiah 29, verse 11. The passage says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future."
Before we go, we'd like to wish our news coordinator and scriptwriter, Elizabeth Lechleitner, all the best as she prepares to begin her new job. Elizabeth, although we're sad to lose a member of the ANN family, we congratulate you and pray God's continued blessing on your life. You will be greatly missed.
That's our program for this week, and remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.